frame. Hi, this is Janice Skychi Travels with the Skychi Travel Guide Live. And our guests for today, introduce yourselves.
Well, ladies first.
Hi, my name is Queen Simone, and I have been traveling for a very long time. Love to. My blog is travelquips.com, www.travelquips.com, and I do a podcast with a wonderful person named Eric. Eric, are you there? You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Eric Johnson, and I am Queen Simone's partner in crime. We have a podcast coming out soon. It's called the Carrying On Podcast. You can find us at carryingonpodcast.com, and I also blog at youngcareertraveler.com, where I do solo travel work.
Okay, and Elevation just joined us. So, Elevation.
How you doing? Yeah, I finally got here. Yes, man, it was kind of arduous process, but I'm here. Yeah, my name is Elevation Allah, and I'm actually in Houston, Texas. I'm in the process of putting together a local business directory more geared toward African American, and that's what my whole slant on it is. And I love what y'all doing right now, because we need more of us circulating that travel dollar.
Okay, fantastic. It seems we lost Queen Simone, so hopefully she'll be able to get back in. Oh, she's just came back. There she goes.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem, Queen Simone. So tell everybody where you are currently.
I am in Buenos Aires.
Wow.
Buenos Aires, what country?
Yeah, congratulations.
I've been doing a side trip here. Oh, Argentina. I was in Peru for 2.5 weeks, and I got bored,
Wow.
and I decided to do a side trip before I came home. So this is my side trip.
Fantastic, fantastic. And so you were in Peru, and where did you go in Peru, Queen Simone?
I flew into Lima. I did Lima, Caracas, Nazca, Arequipa, Puno, Cusco, and back to Lima. So basically, I think they call it the Gringo Trail. So we did basically down the coast, and then inland towards the mountains, Machu Picchu, Cusco, and then back to Lima. And then I flew from Lima to Buenos Aires, and I actually have to go back to Lima on Thursday to fly back to the United States.
Okay, so you're going to leave on Thursday. And
yes.
So tell people how you planned your trip to Buenos Aires.
It was a lot of
South
trial
America.
and error.
Trial and error?
Well, so South America in general, I knew I wanted to go to Peru because I wanted to go to Machu Picchu. I was supposed to take this trip last year, but that prevented me from doing so. I broke my pelvis.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Are you guys having a little trouble hearing her? I can kind of fill in the dots since she's my partner in crime at the podcast, at Carrying On Podcast. Last year, she was planning a trip to Machu Picchu, but she had an accident and she broke her pelvis. So this was a replanned trip that she went to Machu Picchu with, and it's actually funny because her original trip to Machu Picchu was so inspiring to me, especially it being one of the 7 wonders of the world. I ended up booking a trip after she booked her first trip, so I was just there a little bit earlier in October.
Oh, so you went to Buenos Aires. Oh, you went to Machu Picchu.
Yes, inspired by her first trip that never happened because of the car accident. So.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, Queen, you broke up a little bit, but that's okay. So, well, we'll go ahead and have Eric talk a little bit about Machu Picchu.
Yes.
Sure, yeah. Like Queen, I also went to Machu Picchu. Sometimes I bounce between when in my travels urban centered and sometimes nature centered. So this was to me a nature centered trip. So I love going to Europe, but it started to feel so familiar because it's a Western society. America has European roots and democracy.
Right.
And,
Right.
it's a lot of first world countries. So Machu Picchu to me was a chance to get back to nature and just see ancient cultures, and it really is breathtaking. And I'm not much of a spiritual person, but Machu Picchu itself, besides being breathtaking, besides having almost a whole different climate and weather than the base town that's below it, it really is just breathtaking. You feel centered with your thoughts. It's kind of a little bit mystical. So I really enjoyed it. The only setback I had, I was attacked by a llama there. So I was chased up the stairs in Machu Picchu by a llama. And I speak Spanish. I'm bilingual. So I asked this lady as the llama's chasing me, and I'm huffing it up and I'm sitting in the air. I asked her, I said, "Do these things bite?" And she casually said yes as she scooped up her little girl and ran. So I'm not trying to make any accusations of racism, but these were white llamas, and as soon as they were in front of the white tourists, they were smiling. People were posing for pictures. They were perfectly well behaved. But at me, they chased me up the stairs and were chomping at the bit. So that's Machu Picchu for me in a nutshell.
That's good. That's good.
That's hilarious. That's
That
good.
is hilarious. That is hilarious. So Eric, we were talking about some credit cards that you had seen, and Elevation had the same question about as whether I guess using credit cards and the loyalty programs are a good way to go. And Queen, you're welcome to chime in on this as well.
Sure. For me, I'm very new to the credit card and the whole miles game. And so, like any traveler, you want information because that's going to be your friend. So I started looking up all the blogs and how to do the reward systems and the miles. And to me, it became clear two things. That one, unless you travel for your job, you're not going to usually get enough miles. If you're just a casual, I take 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 trips a year, and you can't afford first class, you're not going to rack up the miles that quickly to either get a free trip or to upgrade. And so I noticed that almost every blog said to use a credit card. And their basic strategies are pick the best credit card for you, but use it like a debit card. So you're putting all your purchases on it, and they give you points, and then you pay it all off. And at once, so you don't get charged interest, and you use those points for your upgrades, for your hotels, for however you're going to use the reward point system. But I quickly kind of became frustrated because I feel like all the reward programs, whether they're airlines or hotels, they tend to be so complicated and require you to spend so much money that to me it almost doesn't seem worth it. But I'm also one of those people who's pretty impatient. Like I'll give it a 2 hours on Google and then like I'm done. Like I know there's a lot of forums out there that will help you kind of navigate this minefield, and I know the airlines do it on purpose because an uninformed consumer is their best customer, because if you're just going to waste miles and not know how to get the points, that's less service they actually have to give you for those miles. So to me, I'm one of those ones, I'm a little leery of it. I have my one credit card. I don't get paid by them, but they give me 2 cents a mile for every dollar I spend, and I don't see them in the blogger world talked about at all. But yet this credit card, the advantage is there's no blackout dates, there's no limited seats for reward miles. It's basically anything that's travel related on your credit card, you can use your points and apply it, even retroactively. So let's say I book a flight. I have up to 3 months to get enough points to pay for that flight. And even little things like I live near DC, and even my daily commute, my subway tickets count as travel related. So I can pay for that. So I don't need to wait to save up, you know, a whole bunch of points, I can use it every day, even a taxi.
Okay, so Elevation wants to know what the card is.
Okay,
I didn't interrupt you. Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, I'm not paid. Neither Queen and Simone and I have a deal, so this is not a referral. I don't make any money from this. I use Capital One Venture Card. That's the what's in your wallet, no blackout dates, and basically they just give you, they call it miles, but it's really 2 cents on every purchase. And so, and every purchase, that's not special categories, that's not just gas and groceries, that's everything you can cram on that card, you get 2 cents for. But I will warn you, because most reward credit cards, they charge about 20% interest, or 20-some%. That's the average. Yeah, because they're giving you this reward. Like, credit cards charge high interest regardless, but if you're getting a reward with every purchase, they want to make sure they make that back. So I found the key is, and a lot of responsible bloggers will tell you this, you have to use it like a debit card and pay it off every month, or else you're paying the outrageous interest. And most good reward cards will cost you about $50 to $60 a year. I currently get about, I would say about $1,200 worth of free travel from them. So for me, paying the $60 membership fee, and a lot of them will waive it for the first year, but you have to, I can't emphasize it enough, be one of the responsible people who can pay it off in full, or else you're just going to pay more in interest than you were saving for rewards points. And
so let me chime in.
Go ahead.
So let me chime in. I've gotten 2 free tickets this year. Again, I'm not paid by a card company. I feel like I should be, but I'm not being paid by a card company. But I will say that I use for a lot of my international travel, I tend to use the same carrier. So I usually use Delta. When I went to China, I used Delta. Like, a lot of my trips have been Delta-based flights. So I already had points on Delta, and I got an American Express credit card that gave me additional miles, and I use it pretty regularly. So this year I've taken 2 trips. Actually, my trip to South America was based on miles, 45,000 miles. Surprisingly, you would think it would be more than that, but so basically the miles that I got from this credit card, I used for my trip to South America this year, and like I said, I already had some other miles on there. I do agree, you have to be smart about the way you use it, but for me, because I tend to use the same carrier a lot for my international travel, and other carriers that are, I guess, in the same alliance with Delta. Delta is my preferred carrier. I wasn't going to say that, but I let it slip. So because I tend to use the same ones, for me, it made sense to get a credit card that would help in terms of basically getting the most of what I already used. American Express, I will say this, I have a gold card now, and I'm about to upgrade because I realize right now I don't have a yearly fee, but if I upgrade to the next level, I will have a yearly fee, but I will also have no international transaction fees. And so if I'm traveling internationally, it's worth it for me I'm sure I'll save the money in terms of what I would have paid in the international transaction fees, in comparison to the fee that the card will charge me every year. I think you have to be smart about it, but I'm not one of these like points guys people, I'm not like counting everything. I just try to use common sense, and for me, it made sense for me to get a credit card that would accumulate miles based on the carrier that I already used.
And I think what you said is key. You got to be smart, and you got to know you. For instance, me, I don't have any loyalty to any airline. Like, if it's 50 cents cheaper, I'll ride a pack mule. But so for me, I always want to go where the bargain is. So I like my credit card because it has that flexibility. But the Capital One Venture Card, no foreign transaction fees either. And that's just the regular old Venture Card. Yeah, don't pay those transaction fees, because every percentage you spend in another country's currency, it gets tacked onto your bill. So yeah, you definitely want to look for that.
I have a comment. Jennifer Turner says on Facebook, I use a debit card with SunTrust Bank that gives me Delta miles. $1 equals 1 mile. I pay everything on this card, and it equals 2 round-trip tickets, airline tickets. So she gets 2 tickets.
Wow.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear. I know. I hear, and I don't know how true it is, and that they're starting to do away with those debit card rewards. But I think that's actually a really great solution to a lot of your followers and listeners is a debit card, because unfortunately credit cards know that eventually they're going to suck you into some debt, you're going to make some minimum
Right.
payments, and they're going to get you on the finance charges. So I feel like if you can find a debit card, then you're really in business, because you can also put more on a debit card. Because I notice some people, like maybe if you rent, your landlord might not take a credit card because of the high transaction fee on the landlord side, but usually they'll let you pay on a debit card. So that would be huge.
Oh, that's interesting. She says Jennifer Turner also added that there are no foreign transaction fees either.
Yeah,
with
me
this,
too. I also have Capital
Uh-huh.
One as my debit card too, so I don't pay foreign transaction fees.
And
Okay.
Mr. Kyle,
Yes.
it's interesting you just mentioned the Capital One, because I was just checking my credit report the other day through TransUnion, and that's when I seen the offer for the Capital One Venture and also the Prestige card. And
Yeah.
I signed up for the Venture card as well.
Okay,
I
good.
think they gave me like 20,000 miles bonus just for signing up.
Yep. So they're really good like that. So that works out to, if you've got 20,000 miles for them,
Right.
that 1 mile equals 1 cent. So you've got about $200 free in travel now.
That's how you figure it out. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. So what particularly, and not to advertise for them, Capital One, it's called the Eraser or Travel Eraser. So you can book through their website, and I think they have a link to Expedia. Or a lot of credit cards have affiliation. Well, they'll give you a couple extra bonus miles if you shop through their link. But even if
Okay.
you don't, you buy whatever ticket you want or whatever travel-related expense, a hotel, transportation, and you can erase it up to 3 months. So you say, hey, look, I just booked, you go on there and you say, I just booked whatever it has to be under $200. You have to be able to cover it all in points. And, let's say it's your airport shuttle, and that's $60 round trip. You just go ahead and press the button on your online, and it takes it off the bill.
Wow.
So you can choose whether you want to use it for a little bit, maybe a little treat, maybe a hotel, a $200 hotel that necessarily you wouldn't splurge on, or you can keep saving up those points and try to get the free flight or maybe an upgrade, or do what you want to do. But it works basically like cash.
Okay.
Now, and I'll kind of throw this out there. This is one of the things that I've sort of toyed with. I prefer to use the credit card that I have for airline miles, but I've often wondered if it would be better to have a generic card that lets you use your points for hotel or car or airline miles. What do you all think about that? I'm just curious from my own personal knowledge. Like having a card that's focused specifically on, say, hotel or airline or car versus one that lets you use your points for anything.
Me personally, I'm an anything guy, because I'm just purely about the numbers and the savings, and I don't have much brand loyalty. So I personally like that, something that'll let me use it. For instance, I booked a trip and I was running short on money, so I used all my miles to get the hotels. Okay. So I like the flexibility of, you know what, I found a really cheap flight. Why waste my points on something that's already cheap? Let me use these points for something else. But that's just me. But I also understand, like if you have allegiance to an airline, if you keep flying them, it's easier to rack up the points further. So it goes back to my advice. You kind of have to know yourself, your travel style, and what's important to you, whether it's a free flight or whether it's flying a certain airline or whether it's upgrades.
And I know, Eric, you're not staying in no shabby hotel. See, I will stay in a shabby hotel in a minute. I know that's not your style. So.
Guilty, but I mean, I also don't go high end. I usually do about 3-star. I'm a 3-star guy.
Okay. I would prefer something more flexible, me personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
And also, I would say,
I think you can transfer your airline points to hotel points. Some of them allow that.
Yeah, it depends.
I think it does
card.
depend. It does depend on the card.
Because basically the card, the bank, the issuer of the credit card has to have a contract and a relationship with the different airlines, the different hotels. And from what I see around the blogosphere, it seems like, and I've never used it myself, it's the Chase Sapphire seems to have the most affiliations. So you get all these Chase Sapphire points, and you can allocate it as you see fit. So you can say, you know what, let me put about whatever, let's choose a number, 2,000 of my points towards Hilton because I want to get a hotel on this trip, but let me also put, you know, another bunch of points towards an airline. And from what I see, a lot of bloggers, they tend to like that one because it has the most affiliations, and you can, you know, kind of shift it around as you need be.
That makes sense.
But go ahead.
Well, and I was gonna say, like, I've gone back and forth because for me, you know, I'll stay in a cheap, you know, hotel or a hostel. I have no problems doing it, especially if I'm traveling in a third world country, because I figure I'm getting, you know, sort of more than what I'm, you know, more than my money's worth anyway, depending, you know, wherever I stay. I've always sort of gone back and forth on that, but I have to put the even though we're talking about credit cards tonight, like I have a love-hate relationship with credit cards. So, like, you know, I also don't want this to come off as I'm necessarily pushing for credit cards because I don't think that they're very healthy in terms of, you know, how most Americans live their lives compared to other countries. I do have credit cards.
Yeah, it sounds like Queen.
You're breaking up, Queen Simone.
But I did hear her say that, you know, she's not trying to push credit cards, and certainly there are other ways to gain points, and you can join the basic, you know, your airlines and their reward systems, and a lot of times as soon as you give them your email, they'll send you offers where if you use their link, you know, they'll give you 3 points for every $1, you know, and it'll be at some store. So there's also ways, you know, and we mentioned the debit cards, there's ways not to, you know, if you find credit cards risky and if you're risk adverse or, you know, you're just overly tempted. A lot of us get those credit card muscles, especially around the holidays, where it's, you know, it's real easy to slide it, real easy to live the lifestyle.
Hey, you're a funny guy.
So, you know,
yes, sir.
I definitely don't want to push it because a lot of credit card people, the studies show that you will eventually get into debt. So, and another great tool, if you're going to use a credit card, it's a website called Mint, mint.com, like, you know, the place that prints money, the Mint. And you give them your banking information, your credit cards, your debit cards, your loans, whatever you feel comfortable with, and they will track how much you're spending, and you can set up alerts and set up budgets for yourself. Because I know sometimes when you slide the plastic, it's really, we get amnesia quick. We forgot we just spent $20 on that dinner, and we just had a drink and a cocktail there. So if you're a little bit worried about credit cards but want to try them, mint.com is a great free tool that will track it. It's really easy to use, makes colorful charts, and you can set alerts so they'll text you. You know, it'll be that tug on your coattail that says, hey, slow down, baller. You know, the bill's going to come due.
Mr. Kyle, I had a video from YouTube we was watching the other day talking about the loyalty programs and credit cards. I want to show it to y'all just to see what your feedback is on that. We can actually watch it through Google Hangouts, but you got to press your YouTube button on the left-hand side. And it'll pop up, and all of us can watch it simultaneously.
Look,
I don't think I have a YouTube button.
But you see that I'm having technical difficulties on my side.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll wait toward the end just in case.
Okay. Okay.
Let's hold it. We will try it because then you and I can look at it.
Right.
And
Or at
but
the
we have
very least, I think
I can barely
technologically,
stay on. We can try it, but
you could probably share your screen as you watch it. But I don't know. I just
oh
checked. I
yeah.
don't have a YouTube button. I don't have a lot of the things that are, I don't have the toolbox. I don't know. I
Oh,
guess
you're in the toolbox.
I'm
Wow.
yeah, I'm on the generic plan, man. I think
yeah, he's not on Google Plus. That's
yeah,
why he
I
needs
got the
to sign
working
up.
class account or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not a baller like you guys.
There's a question from Ileana. She wants to know, how often do you travel? So Queen Simone, you want to take that first? Is she there? Okay, Eric.
Sure. For me, it varies. This year, I went to 7 different countries, and this is like the most travel I've ever done. But when people ask me, and I know it's kind of a beating around the bush, but when people ask me how do I travel, how often, and how does all that work, I try to honestly, I don't pick the destination, I pick the deals. So I found some amazing deals. For instance, when I said I went to Machu Picchu this year, round trip, I got it cost me $400. So that's why I went. But this is like an odd year where I've just
Mhm.
traveled a ton because I found a lot of deals. But usually I'll take 1 or 2 big trips, meaning one overseas for at least a week, like one overseas or a major trip like that. And I might do a weekend somewhere domestically. So that's about how it works out for me. But it often has to do with budget and what deals I
Mhm.
can find.
Yeah. Can you all hear me? Am I back online?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, you are,
You're back
Queen.
online. Yes.
How often do you
Okay.
travel, Queen
Okay.
Simone? That's what the followers
Um,
want to know.
I travel a fair bit, but I have to say I probably only take maybe one or maybe like one, maybe two big trips a year. Disclaimer, my family is from the Caribbean. So this year I went to Jamaica. I don't consider that a trip necessarily because my family is there and I had no fun while I was there. I was working the entire time and like helping family out. Trips, I try to do like one big personal trip a year, not visiting family, not doing anything else. And when I say big trip, I mean international trip. I try. Of course, last year I didn't because I broke my pelvis and I couldn't go to Peru last year. So I would say in terms of like overall trips, I probably travel like 10 to 15 times a year, but that includes I live in DC. That includes me going home. That includes me visiting family in New York and North Carolina, girls trips to Miami, like just a lot of random things. But, in terms of big trips, like international trips where I'm planning and, trying to use miles, I would say probably like one, maybe two a year.
Okay, so you use miles once or twice a year. And Eric, how
Mhm.
often do you use miles?
I probably use my rewards program like 2 or 3 times a year. I'm just one of those persons who's not disciplined to let the points build up. So I'll say, like, when I see I have like $200, I'll just say, you know what? I'm gonna book one night at the hotel, use that, and then book the other ones in a big block. So I'll just do one separately, check in, and then check out the same day. So I would say I use my miles like maybe 4 or 5 times a year, and sometimes I will use them for like my metro commute costs. If money's tight or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it just varies with me.
Eric, will the miles roll over to the following year, or do you have to use it in that
No,
12-month period?
well, for my card that I use, the Capital
Yeah.
One Venture, once again,
Okay.
not paid, no sponsorship, no affiliation, they never expire. I think I
Yeah.
read the small print, as long as you have the card, as long as you have the account open.
Okay.
So they're good. So, I mean, if you want to use the card, keep it open for
Hmm.
10 years to take your dream round the world trip first class, you could do that.
Wow. Yeah. How many points you need?
But you should
About 2
know though,
million?
you should know that a lot of airlines often require you to deposit miles in order to keep them. And I know they're probably changing their policy this year, but American Airlines, if you don't deposit miles or have some sort of activity on your miles
Okay.
within 2 or 3 years, you risk losing them all. So
Right.
you have to
Okay.
keep it up,
But that's why I like the Capital Venture, because it's not associated with any airline, so you're not beholden by their rules. So it just, you keep building those miles on your card, and as long as you keep the account open, you can use them at any time. So you can wait years. You're not beholden to what open seats what reward seats are open. There's no blackout dates. It's, you find whatever good deal you can, and you just apply your miles.
Okay.
So how many miles did it require for you to go to Peru or to South America?
45,000 miles.
Okay.
That's crazy. So, and the thing is, I was weak. I didn't want to take all my vacation time this year, but if I had another week, I could have also gone to Ecuador. My original flight plan was Lima, Peru, back to DC. So, but it was 45,000 miles, with or without the Ecuador option, which I ended up not taking. It was 45,000 miles.
Okay. And what about for you, Eric? Did you use any miles for air, or you used everything for hotel?
This year I've used everything for hotel. I usually don't have the discipline to save up that many miles. So I'm like, if I'm going on a trip, I'm always like, oh, well, how can I make this cheaper? So I don't care if I only have $17 in rewards miles. Then I'll say, oh, then I'll take a taxi. I'll use it. So I like to save I'm kind of the guy that the points burns a hole in his pocket. So I more often and don't let it save up.
Okay.
But I did, on this trip, I just got back in the beginning of November. I went to Scandinavia and Northern Europe. So I went to Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, and Germany, and I used all miles for the hotels. And actually that was, it was an airline. I used British Airways, and I signed up. When you sign up for a credit card, Google like the bonuses for the credit cards you want, because they have specials on those. So you want to make sure you get the best sign-on bonus, right? Okay. So I got 50,000 miles, but then I realized that with British Airways, when you fly overseas, you pay about as much in taxes as you do for the fare. So it would have cost me $600 to fly British Airways versus like $650 what I paid on my own. So I just ended up using the British Airways miles for the hotels as a way to burn it up.
Okay. So one thing that I learned, I used to be an account executive for United Airlines, and one of my fellow account executives, she studied the frequent flyer program book like she memorized it. She knew every rule in and out. So the books are available online. Like you can go onto the airline websites and you can get the information after you sign up. And even though you're using miles on a credit card, you should still sign up for the frequent flyer miles for an airline. It's always a good idea to do that. And sometimes they allow double and triple points. So you can get airline miles, you can get hotel points, and you can get car rental points, all on the same trip. They allow you to double, triple dip. But what she did was she paid her mortgage with her United Airlines credit card. She paid tuition. Nice. She paid all the major, large expenses.
Oh, wow.
Every month. And so that way she was able to rack up points by just, having the discipline to do that. So not everybody can do that. Some people can get into debt doing that, but you have to pay it off every month. So she had the discipline to do that. So, and she was always flying first class somewhere, upgrades. I mean, she learned all the tricks. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's definitely, if you Google it, there's forums and blogs all dedicated to this. I mean, you kind of have to learn the lingo and invest and in your little bit of education to get the background, because they're like an advanced level, but they'll teach you how to, how to do it, how to maximize your miles, when it goes on sale, how many points, how, what a good purchase is, what a good mileage run is, there's a whole, like just forums dedicated, and it's usually called travel hacking or mile hacks or things of that nature.
So it's a subculture in itself.
Say again, I didn't hear you.
So travel hacking is a subculture in itself.
Yeah, mile hacking. Oh yeah, people do mileage runs where you'll fly to your airport to the middle of, God's blind spot, Mississippi, just to get, 1,000 miles because it costs you $50 round trip. So I mean, they've got every trick up the sleeve and like fuel dumps, and I mean it's advanced stuff. I mean, it was way beyond my 2 hours of ADD would let me learn, but it's out there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we have another question. So Halifax, it says, does Capital Venture allow you to move your rewards points to an airline program? For example, my credit card program allows me to exchange my rewards points for miles on British Airways. Does Capital Venture allow you to do that?
No, Capital One Venture doesn't do that. What it does is basically only on their credit card, they give you 2 cents for every dollar that you spend. They call it miles. They give you 2 miles for every dollar, but each mile really equals 2 cents. Each mile equals 1 cent. So you're getting 2 cents for every dollar, and you can apply that to your credit card balance for travel-related expenses because they already know what's travel-related. And like I said, taxis are also travel-related, transportation travel-related. Hotels, certainly airline tickets are travel related. So it won't be in your account, but certainly you can shop on any airline. You can use Kayak, you can use Expedia, you use whatever website, slide the Capital One Venture card. When you book it, then go log on to the website. They have the reward center, and it's called, I think it's Purchase Eraser is what it's called. And it'll let you go back up to 3 months and erase travel-related purchases. So no, there are no points to transfer. They're not affiliated with any hotel, any airline, but yet because you're using the credit card, you can apply your rewards points towards any airline, hotel, rental car, things of that nature, to have it erased. But it won't put points in that reward system's bank account. They don't use the airline miles, or they're not affiliated with any brand, any travel-related brand. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good answer. Anybody else want to add on to it? Okay, so Queen Simone, how for Delta, it's $1 for 1 mile. Is that how it adds up?
On my credit card, it is $1. It's 1 mile for every dollar you spend on qualified purchases.
What's a qualified?
Well, and I was gonna say I haven't figured out what's not a qualified purchase. Pretty much everything that I've used my card for has been a qualified purchase. When I figure out what is not a qualified purchase, I will definitely let you know. But for now, everything that I've used my card for has been a qualified purchase. So it's basically $1 per mile.
$1 per mile. Okay. Okay. And so how often do you fly for business? I know you said you fly 10 to 15 times a year just in general travel. Do you fly for business?
Well, and I should say I don't always fly when I travel. I have to qualify that. I don't know. Me personally, I don't always fly when I travel. Because I live in DC, I have the option of driving. I have the option of taking Bolt bus, train, megabus. But definitely for Amtrak, right? My personal limit is 6 hours. So if it's more than 6 hours, I fly.
Right.
Oh, you know what? Halifax is saying yes, it does allow you to travel reward points to airline programs. So I think that's something we need to look at then.
Yeah, definitely. I'm learning just as well.
Okay.
Hey, question. What's the annual fee for this venture card?
I believe it's $60 when I signed up for mine, and most of the promotions will be free for the first year. So
like first 12 months or something, right?
Yeah, so what I would do is mark down the calendar date, if you have a Google Calendar or whatever you use for your calendaring purposes,
Right.
and mark the year anniversary a couple days before, and then if you don't want to pay it or you feel like you've used all the rewards and you've gotten all the benefit, you can always shut it down at that point. But do know when you shut down a credit card account or one of your credit lines, it does take a little tick on your credit. It does take a little tick on your credit. So it depends on what your limit was and how much other balances you have, how long you've had the credit line. But closing it is considered a bad sign, and depending on the details around it is how much of a hit you'll take. So you do want to be careful
if you've
consider
had the
credit cards.
Tell me again.
Go ahead, Simone. You were saying?
If I would consider just not using it as opposed to closing it, because it will put a ding on your credit.
Okay.
Okay, so Jennifer says that she has traveled with her points to Phoenix, Arizona, and she had enough to pay for her son's ticket as well. She went to Atlantic City and Paris.
Oh, nice.
And then she says Delta has Sky Miles dining, so Sky Miles shopping as well that helps you to rack up points. She says she doesn't get paid by Delta either, but she's doing her best not to have bad debt. Laughing out loud.
She brings up a good point. Like, no matter what credit card, what program you have, they usually have a portal on the website that allows you to shop.
Exactly.
And if you shop using their links, they offer you bonus miles. So I know, like, for my credit card, I think Apple gives you an extra bonus mile. If you go through their link, the credit card will give you one more additional mile per dollar, which is 1 more cent, so you're making 3. And you know, sometimes, like, I usually noticed on most credit cards that, like, if you send flowers to somebody, they give you like 8 points per dollar. So I mean, it's something, one of those things you forget to kind of like check. Yeah, and another thing, Queen Simone and I actually talk about this in an upcoming podcast of the Carrying On podcast. A lot of your credit cards now will have a concierge service for free.
Yes.
And they can research hotels, flights, tickets, you know, when you're there, make reservations, and it's all free. And you can tell them your parameters, and they'll get back to you with your options. So a lot of times they're just useful planning the trip. If you want to plan it for cheaper, you can use them as your baseline. Like, hey, I'm thinking of going here, or I want to do this. Can you look into it to me? They'll give you their prices and options, and they'll book it for you all totally free if you want it. And then you can kind of do your own research behind them and see if you can beat that. So a lot of times they are a time saver. That's another great free resource from most credit cards for travelers too.
And AAA also has a very similar service. It's not a credit card, but if any of you have AAA, we definitely have used the concierge service. Investigating rental cars in foreign countries. They were very helpful. So if you don't have a credit card, you're still working on that, but you have AAA, try that as well.
Halifax, it says he says that his card has the option in Canada through RBC Bank, so he doesn't know anything about the Capital One card in the U.S. So he's in Canada.
From the little bit of preliminary research I did, America by hands down has the most generous credit card reward systems of any country, I guess, because we just spend. And then in second place comes the Canada. So your options are more limited. I've heard like Canada will maybe give you like 1,000 points if you sign up for a credit card versus America, it's like always 20 or 50. So 50, if you are from another country, that's something you have to look into. But if you are, and I'm not saying, I don't know if this is legal or not, but if you're from another country, but you have a U.S. address or a bank, you can sign up for U.S. credit cards.
Eric, don't advocate the illegal activity.
I don't know. I'm saying, you know, he might be wealthy and own some property in Miami. Use your Miami address and sign up for your American credit card.
Yeah, a lot of people.
If it's legal. If it's legal.
Have Miami addresses, and that's how they get their packages and things like that, their mail. Yes. Oh, we lost Elevation. So yes, no.
I guess he went to go out to sign up for another credit card. He'll be back.
I'm sure he'll be back. He'll be back. Oh my goodness, this has been really informative. I didn't realize that. I know that I tried to do Christmas shopping through Marriott because I like the Marriott chain. So I do Marriott Rewards, and I use their portal to do shopping for large purchases. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, and they have some deals, and you can go and compare the sites that they refer you to and see, like, I guess what the difference is with or without points when you purchase. But they'll have like special offers, like, you know, you get 3 times the points if you shop here, or 4 times, or whatever. So yeah, shopping's a good way to do it, especially if you're buying doing Christmas shopping. Definitely look at that.
Yeah, and especially because what I found, because I've used some of the portals for the credit cards to get the bonus points, it is the exact same site that if you just went on the regular merchant site. But now that it's Christmas and we just ran into Cyber Monday and some people are having sales all week, sometimes you can get free shipping. So you're still getting those good sale Christmas prices if you're doing your Christmas shopping now, but you're going to get more bonuses. So you get a little gift for yourself.
Absolutely.
I know with my Delta Sky Miles card, they'll have promotions with different companies. So, you know, if you spend $20 at this company, you'll get a $5 statement credit on your next statement. So, I mean, the holidays is the time that the card companies are really trying to rack up, trying to get you to spend the money. Just be smart about it.
Yeah, definitely know your budget, know your means, because like we said, if you end up in credit card debt to the tune of 20-some% interest, that's your airline miles and then some. So you're going to have less money towards the actual trip. So definitely be smart about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to get into debt for Christmas and not be able to take a vacation. That will not work.
Nope.
Not at all. So what are your travel plans for next year?
Well, for me personally, I've booked 2 trips because the deals came through. So I usually don't like to tell when I'm going to travel in case anybody wants to rob me. But in right in 2015, I have already booked the ticket to New Delhi, India. I wanted to go to the Taj Mahal. That's on my bucket list, so I will be going.
You're going to India. We talked about this. Wow.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
You'll be hearing about it more on the carryingonpodcast.com. But also, I will be going to London. So
Nice.
I'll probably do some side trips to, Paris. And, once you're in Europe, it's really easy to get around there for cheap. So I'll be doing that in the summer of 2015. And, and Taj Mahal will be winter 2015.
Tell me all about India. You know I'm not going for a while.
I definitely will. I'm excited.
I am actually getting married next year.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
Thank you. And right now it looks like the #1 choice for a honeymoon spot is Bali. So I will be in Indonesia, at some point next year.
So you get nature and the party life.
Yeah, I like to combine the two when I can. I'm sure I'll do some other trips, but that's a big one.
What about you, Miss Janice? You have any plans coming up?
I traveled for 7 years. I'm enjoying being in one place just for the moment. I have
know
not
that's
planned
right.
anything. Yeah.
No matter how good the trip is, it always feels good to come home.
Oh, that is true.
It does.
That's true.
I did so much fast travel, and then the side trips, it was just way too much. So, yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, initially I went after I graduated from college, I did a gap year, which turned into being gone for 6 years,
Nice.
Always happens that way, right?
Yes. And then I took, a big break, and then I went back to traveling. So I guess I'm on my next break right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, I'll when I'm ready to go, I'll be ready to go. So I'm just enjoying being able to think and plan
I love
things and
that.
continue working on things, because traveling around, it's very difficult, especially as a flight attendant. It
It's
is.
tiring.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you just forget what it is you're doing or what you're thinking about. It's like brain fog most of the time. It's like, you know,
I believe that. I
yeah,
definitely believe that.
yeah. So, yeah, I'm just like, oh my God.
I'm sure you probably woke up different days and you're like, where am I? I don't even know where I
A
am.
lot of times, what bed am I in? What hotel is this? What day is this? What hour is this? Is
See,
it night? Is
Yeah.
it day? Should I be running for the airplane? Should I be
for
hopping into my uniform and running to catch the airport shuttle? Am I late? That was most. Oh, I don't want to be late.
now, see, for me, what bed am I in? What hotel am I in? Who's sleeping next to me? I just call that Tuesday. So
I didn't say who's sleeping next to
I'm
me.
just playing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Jennifer says she used 60,000 points for Paris on Delta.
Good.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
60,000 is good. Considering it was Peru, yeah, that's amazing. That is
No,
amazing.
Paris, Paris.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Paris. And you know, the thing is, you get I personally have found that you get the most bang for your mile if you're flexible about when you're going to travel. So, you know, like Peru, not as many people are coming to Peru in, you know, November to travel for, you know, Thanksgiving and, you know, doing other things. So, you know, for me, I found like that the miles were most beneficial for my use when it was not as busy for other people to come down here. And ironically, I had booked this ticket this almost year before, and the miles were the same, 45,000 miles. So I think a lot of it has to do with being willing to travel at a time when maybe not other people are willing to travel. You can probably find some better deals that way in terms of using your miles.
Okay.
Exactly.
So Elevation, Allah said he had to go, so he was not coming
Okay.
back. So yeah,
By elevation.
yeah, yeah. So I think that Thanksgiving is probably a good time because most Americans are trying to go home. They're not trying to do a vacation. I think you could probably
Right.
go anywhere. You know, everybody wants to go home for that dinner if they have
Hmm.
family to go home to.
I've personally,
Exactly.
I've flown to, I wanted to do Turkey for Turkey Day, so I went to Istanbul over Thanksgiving one year. And
Did you?
yeah, it is really cheaper because it's
Yeah.
a big American holiday, but
It
it's
is, but
not a
it's not big
holiday
anywhere
abroad.
else.
So you fly a foreign
Right.
airline, they don't see it as a holiday, and not many Americans are going. So you got it. I got
Exactly.
it for incredibly cheap, and in fact, it was so cheap. I had my parents tag along. I didn't pay for them, but I said, you know, since I'm not going to be here, why don't you take a cheap flight
Yeah.
with me? And we went to Turkey for Turkey Day. So definitely holidays, or just like what Queen Simone was saying, anytime that's not quite popular, it's not quite the high season, you're going
Hmm.
to get a deal. And I like it better because
Exactly.
usually high season is more expensive, but it's also hot, and I hate sweating and traveling. So I'd rather go when the weather's a little bit cooler anyway.
Yeah.
And there's not as many tourists, so it feels like I have the whole country to
Right.
myself. I can spread out.
Right.
Jennifer said she traveled in January during MLK holiday week to Paris.
Yes. Also, they don't recognize him.
Hmm.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
I've never done major travel that weekend. Like international travel that weekend. I but I also don't like to travel small holiday weekends too. Not to say that the King holiday is small, but in terms of, you know, something that's like a Monday holiday, um, I try to avoid it personally, because I know a lot of people travel around that time. But honestly, you know, I think in terms of holidays, the King holiday probably is a decent time to travel because people are just recovering from, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Most people are too broke to travel in January. So that could be a really
So
good time to
true.
travel.
That is so true. I know that the airline employees look forward to January. We are so like happy to see Christmas over,
Yeah.
New Year's
Yes.
over, and that people are back at home and the airport is quiet again. And so
Right.
it's usually like pretty quiet, especially airline employees like to travel the end of January because that's when it's dead. So that's when the seats are open. That's when they like to go travel. It probably won't be now anymore since I put it out there. But that is the time that they travel because that's when it's slow. And then it's normally slow until the
Right.
spring breaks start picking up for all the
Oh, spring
colleges.
break.
So yeah. So it's slow probably till like about end of February. So for about a month, it's a good lull to go
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. Seats are open. It's a good time to go. So
Yeah, and that's
That makes
already
sense.
after you've gained your points for your holiday shopping. So
yeah,
Exactly.
that could be the
yeah,
new savvy traveler high season.
it could be. It
It
could
could
be.
be.
So Queen and Eric, when do you plan to launch your podcast, or where can people find it?
Right now, you can go to www.carryingonpodcast.com. We actually have a lot of episodes in the works that are all ready to go, but we're just waiting on our artists to give us our album art. So we want to make sure we have the whole package for you, and that once you get used to listening to us, we're not going to have to take it down or do anything like that. So
Right.
once again, it's www.carryingonpodcast.com, and that's with Queen Simone and myself, Eric Johnson.
Okay. And
Well,
have you chosen a day of the week?
No, we haven't yet. I mean, there's so many things to think about.
no.
It will, for now, I think we're going to do a bi-weekly format, so you don't get too tired of us. As you can tell, I have a little bit of a strong personality, so I'm good in smaller doses. So we haven't picked the day of the week yet.
Okay, okay. So what will you guys be sharing with
Working
us?
on that.
You're working on that? Okay.
Well, what will be
A little bit. We're sharing a little bit of everything, quite honestly. As you can tell, Eric is quite the character.
but generally we're going to give you
Have a good travel.
yeah, it's how to travel. A lot of people they say Queen and Eric, you guys travel so much. We wish we had money like that. And so it's more geared towards your average person and how to extend the travel. So, but in every show, you're definitely going to get a dose of humor. You're going to find out a little bit more about us and our travel lifestyle and likes and dislikes. But we also bring you travel news, some things you might not that you just might have slipped past your radar that you're going to need to know as a traveler. And we're also teaching you our how we do it. Sometimes we take listener questions. So how do you find the best deal? When's the best time to go? And things of that nature. So it's part tutorial, part news, but it's always wrapped in love and humor. So even if you're not an avid traveler, we were trying to bring you a podcast that you'll feel like you want to listen to and tune in just to hear what we have to say, because we also want to bring you some entertainment value. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, we wish we had a date so we could give you a little listen and tell you when to tune in. But the website is up, so you can keep up with us, and it's www.carryingonpodcast.com.
Okay, wonderful. I think we lost Queen. Okay. Well, we should have you back on then for your launch, and
Well, thank you so much. We've enjoyed our time.
yes, we have too. And we will see you flying in the air. Oh, Queen's back. Okay, so maybe we'll let her do a closing parting word. She gets in here.
Hello.
Queen.
Hi.
I'm
Do you have
back.
any parting words for us,
Hi.
Queen?
In general. In general.
Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me?
No, you're like breaking up. You sound like computer love, R. Kelly.
Okay. Credit paid. Know what it is. In terms of the credit cards, neither one of us are paid. This is just sort of our own advice in terms of what we've done in terms of using credit cards to travel. If you can find a way to work the hustle, work the hustle. That's my advice in terms of that. And in terms of our podcast, we like to have fun. Everyone can travel, and everyone can travel on a budget that's fit for them. Eric and I, but we both have great experiences, and so I think it's good to have the different points of view in terms of traveling one style versus traveling another. And there is not one style that's perfect for everyone. You have to find your own travel style and work with it. So work the points, hustle as hard as you can, take a trip, even if it's not overseas, take a trip anywhere just to get the experience. You'll get the bug and you'll start doing it more.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Queen Simone and Eric, and we look forward to your podcast, and we want to have you guys back for your launch.
We're looking forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Safe travels in Buenos Aires there.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you too. Thanks, Eric. Good night.
Good night.